Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to my friends and my subscribers. So, today we are going to discuss one issue, that is renal calculus. This is a renal stone. Basically, few days before, I received one CT scan report uh, of one of my relation brother from outside of the country, with a clinical history of that he is experiencing the pain. So with that symptoms, he was suggested to take a CT scan, abdominal area, mainly KUB region, the kidney, ureters, bladder region. So before going to that, just I will give a very brief introduction of that and some treatment and the some homemade remedies. Okay, so I'll take a pen. So basically this is the kidney, this is the kidney, this is the kidney, which will be surrounded with fat that will basically protect the kidney. So after removing the fat, this is the common bean shaped kidney, and this figure we are very familiar from our ninth standard. This one, the top vessel is renal artery, the bottom one is renal vein, and this is the pelvis. Okay, so here you can see the most of the fat deposited here. So this is the ureter. So the most fat will be deposited in the ureter, and this is your uh, renal artery, and this is the renal vein. As we know, the artery will conduct the blood from the heart to different organ of the body, and during the systole of the heart, and the ventricular tissue will get depolarized. So at that time only the systole will occur, and due to that pressure the blood will be circulating to different organ. So normally the artery will be experiencing more pressure, so it will be normally thicker, and through the vein, after the respiration in the mitochondria of each cell, the carboxygenated blood, it will again come to heart through the vena cava, superior and inferior vena cava to atrium for purification of that. So it will experience the less pressure. So normally the vein will be thinner. Okay. So after the dissecting the kidney, this is the picture. Okay. So this area, this is the renal cortex. This is the pyramid. See this dark area, the dark area, which is containing the high density blood vessel. So that is medulla, and there is a funnel shape region. This is called the renal pelvis. So the urine will be collecting through that, and it will be through the ureter, it will be collected in the bladder, and finally it will be excreted. So before that, just you should have a very basic idea about the amino acid catabolism. So normally the final form of the protein which will be absorbable by our body is amino acid. There is an enzyme in our body which will stop to convert that food protein to amino acid. It's called deaminase. When we are consuming the excess protein, so that excess protein, on the excess protein, the deaminase enzyme will act and it will convert into ammonia. This ammonia will come to our liver, where there will be a big cycle called ornithine cycle. So people who are interested to know about the ornithine cycle, it's a chemical reaction. You can refer any physiology book where you can understand what is the ornithine cycle. So in the ornithine cycle, that urea, the ammonia will convert into urea. So that urea, it will come to our kidney through the bloodstream, and the unit of kidney is nephron. So at about 1 million nephron will be there in the kidney. So top of that Bowman capsule, inside the glomerulus, the refiltration will take place. So urea will come out and it will be collected in the pelvis as urine. Okay, so this refiltration is basically the natural dialysis. Otherwise, if this will not work, if this not work properly, then you have to go for artificial refiltration, which is called dialysis. Okay, so basically this is the amino acid catabolism, and your kidney is responsible for that to purify the blood. Okay, so now we will go for the abdominal image CT scan. So this is the abdominal image. You see, this is the superior renal capsule, this is the inferior renal capsule, this is the right kidney, this is the left kidney. Okay, as you know, this is your renal cortex. So this is your renal pyramid. This area, this is your renal papilla. This is your renal medulla, and this area this is the renal column. Okay, this is the actual image. Now you see, this is the right kidney, this is the kidney, this is liver. You see, liver is seen, and this is the abdominal aorta. Now this is the axial image. So if you take the mirror image, so this will go top, this vessel will go top. So this is your renal vein, this is the renal artery, and this is the liver. Okay, this is the axial image. Now this is the connection to the major calyx. These are the connection to the minor calyx. Okay, this is your pelvis. Okay, this is the renal pelvis. This is the ureter. This is your right ureter. This is the left ureter. Only one segment is visible. Okay, this is the bladder. This is the urinary bladder. Now that, as I was telling my brother, he was experiencing a back pain with that clinical symptom. He was supposed to do the CT scan with 128 slide scanner at kidney, ureter and bladder region with intravenous contrast applied, which will be helping to highlight the blood vessel. And now you see in the right kidney, so near to the superior renal capsule, at the region of superior renal capsule, where the connection to the minor calyx, you can see previous. You see, these are the connection to the minor calyx. So now you see that stone is near to, these are the connection to the connection of minor calyx. A 0.8 mm stone was observed. Okay, so now you can understand from a CT image how to, mainly in kidney, how to understand the different parts. Now I am coming to that related to that stone. So normally the renal stone, the composition is calcium oxalate. Okay, otherwise it will be calcium phosphate. It may be straight. Basically this is a magnesium ammonium phosphate. It may be uric acid. So if your body, if your protein is more, this uric acid will develop in your body. Cysteine is a sulfur containing amino acid. It is also a kind of byproduct from the excess protein. So these are the conventional, normally the renal stones. It will basically, it will form from this substrates: calcium oxalate, calcium phosphate, struvite, that is magnesium ammonium phosphate, uric acid, or cysteine. So how it will grow? Basically it will first started with nucleation. So this is the initial process that occur in the formation of a crystal from a solution or liquid or a vapor, which a small number of ions or atoms or molecule will become arranged in a pattern characteristics of a crystalline solid, forming a site upon which additional particles are deposited as the crystal grows. So first the nucleation, then growth, then there will be aggregation, and then will be retention, it will be retaining. So this is the formation of the renal stones. So how to do the treatment? First is the observation. So if the size is less, that means less than 0.5 mm, so normally we should wait, we should keep on observing, so that it will passes during urination. So these are the symptoms, sometimes nausea, vomiting, blood urine, these things it will, the person may experience. But if size is more than 0.5 mm, serious diet is required. And if it is more than I am telling 0.1, if it is 0 to 0.5 centimeter. If it is 0 to 0.5 centimeter, you should keep on observation and allow it to pass during urination. But if it is more than 0.5 to 1 centimeter, okay, then it is a serious concern. So you have to do very serious diet. You have to control your diet. Even though if you are keeping in observation, so that patient may experience this nausea, vomiting, blood in urine. But if the size is, as I told, if the size is more than 1 centimeter, then it needs surgery. This kind of things, it will not give you the fruitful result. So in the surgical treatment, there are 3 things. It's called shockwave lithotripsy, ureteroscopy, percutaneous nephrolithotomy. So I'll briefly, because we just need to have very basic idea, we need not to understand that much depth of that. just we should know that. So that's why very simply I will explain it. So the shockwave lithotripsy, basically you should know one thing. See, in our earlier age, basically I am most of my childhood I spent in a remote village of West Bengal. So there normally the roads are very bad. So I used to see when we used to travel to Calcutta, some people used to vomit inside the bus. So that time I was wondering why it is why that person only one day one person is happening, that why it is so. So I'll tell you one very important thing. Every matter, based on its stiffness and the mass, it having a natural frequency. So if that particular mass will experience that frequency, that natural frequency, it will start to reverberate, it will break. So when the bus is going through the rough road and the suspension is not good, it will, some random vibration it will generate. And if the natural frequency of a particular person, the natural frequency of liver or stomach or this some organ natural frequency is matching with that frequency, then that particular organ will start to reverberate. Say take the example of stomach. You taken food and you are going by that bus, that Khatara bus, so that it is giving vibration. So if that natural frequency is matching with that natural frequency of the stomach, then the stomach will start to reverberate. So you will feel that nausea, vomiting and all these things. So this is the thing. So why I am telling so, in this kind of treatment, that this shockwave lithotripsy, the very high frequency, the doctor, by seeing the size and getting the idea about the renal calculi developed in the kidney, so doctor will decide the frequency. So using a ultrasound probe, using an ultrasound transducer, not transducer, it's a source, it will generate that particular frequency. And it will go to the, it will be conducting, reaching to the renal calculi, and if it started to reverberate, the renal stone will be breaking into several pieces, so that it can passes through the ureter and excrete it during urination. So the treatment is called shockwave lithotripsy. But that time doctor should understand that other part of the organ, the frequency which you are generating, it cannot be matching with the natural frequency of the other organs. Or if it is matching also, then you have to anesthesia and all these things you have to take care. So this technique is called shockwave lithotripsy. Another convenient thing is called ureteroscopy. Okay, so basically this ureteroscope is nothing but a flexible tube. So this is inserting through the bladder and ureter, and it is finally reaching near to the renal calculi. At the tip of that ureteroscope, you can inject the high energy laser, which can break the bigger size of the renal calculi into small pieces, which can be easier to passes through the ureter, and it can come out. So finally, whatever the particle was left out, the piece of the stone was left out, so it can be hold like this. So in that ureteroscope, there will be things like a cage. So if you push, it will be expanded. Now by moving it, you can catch the stone. Then you pull, then it will be tight. Now slowly you can take out it. So this technique is called ureteroscopy. Okay, technique is called ureteroscopy. So here you need to apply the stent. Stent also is a flexible hose. Why it is used? Because normally the stent is used to expand the vessel. So the ureter, from the ureter to your till the bladder, that area should be expanded. So that's why stent is applied. Okay. The third technique is called percutaneous nephrolithotomy. It is a semi-invasive or the minimally invasive procedure to remove the stone from the kidney by making a small puncture wound up to about 1 centimeter in the back, and this is the most suitable to remove the stones of more than 2 centimeter in size, which are near to the pelvic region. Okay. So here also the tip of this device, it will generate ultrasound, either ultrasound or electrohydraulic or the laser, high energy laser, which can break the renal calculi into small pieces, and through this device can be sucked, and the remaining small pieces may pass through the ureter. Here also you need to apply the stent, because which will help to enlarge the aperture of the ureter. It will be increased so that it will allow to pass the broken piece of the stones. This is a very simple way I have explained. Now this is the very important thing I will try to follow everybody who are not experiencing this renal calculi also. The age when you are crossing 30, so the fruits with tiny seeds like tomato, brinjal, strawberry you should avoid, because these seeds containing lot of oxalate, and as we already seen that the calcium oxalate, it's a basically that is the renal stone. So you should stop that. If you want to take, you remove the seed, then you take the milk product, milk and the milk, because milk is enriched with calcium, milk, cheese and all the sweets, that you should avoid. Definitely red meat, because it's red meat and fish like your mutton, beef, country chicken, Vanjaram fish, this is a red fish. So plenty of proteins are there, which will increase the uric acid and the cysteine. The possibility to develop the renal stone. You should reduce the salt content in your food. Definitely you should avoid the canned food, the pickles or any other preservatives, canned where the preservative is used. So mainly preservative means there will be a huge quantity of salt for long preservation. It will create the renal stone. Even though you know spinach is very good for health, but you should reduce spinach. It can create renal stone. Chocolate, very tasty things. If you go more, one section will be full of chocolates, but that you should stop, because it having plenty of inside, huge quantity of oxalate is there. Soda drinks also create the renal fructose. Soda drinks contain fructose. This fructose, basically it's a monosaccharide. This will create the renal stone. So these are the food definitely we should stop. It is also very important what is to be done. In my opinion, a person adult after 18, he should take plenty of water per day, minimum 3 to 4 liter water per day with a regular interval. The frequent urination is very, very important. People who are working in some call center, IT company, they will be holding the urine for a long time. So it is not because if you are holding the urine, the nucleation will take place. So you should not hold your urine for a long time. At least 2 to 3 hours within, after. At the end of 2 to 3 hours, you should go for urine, and minimum 200 to 250 ml urine should get excreted. That much water you should take. It will not allow for the nucleation. You should take citrus food like lemon, orange, which will break the stone. Normally, people who are taking less water, they may not able to take the water more. So I will suggest you make lemon water. It will give a very good flavor, and taste also it will be good. You can drink plenty of water. Morning, in the morning you can take tulsi. Some who is getting in the family, who is getting earlier, he can take some 10-15 tulsi leaves and clean it properly, and morning all the family members can take it. It is not only for that, it will be useful as a very good mouth freshening, because tulsi leaves containing acetic acid which will dissolve the stone. Rajma, this is a kidney bean. What is called? Kidney bean it is called. This is very, very good for kidney health also. So at least twice in a week you take rajma. If you are not able to do, you boil the rajma, drink the water. This will also very helpful. Twice in a week you take coconut water. Very good and tasty also. Take anar. Anar means that English लिखते होना चाहिए ना, anar लिखे दीजिए. That anar means that pomegranate, that red color, that you take. So that it will basically, it is not only for kidney, entire body it will detoxify. So these are the remedy, without, because if you do that, nothing harm will happen. You can do it. So it will be helpful as a home remedy of renal calculi. So this is a very simple way I have explained. So hope it will be helpful to you. Thank you very much.